Today on Readus Reviews, I review Shazam. Alright, we're good. I think. I'll find out later. So we're introduced to 14-year-old Billy Baxton, who has jumped from foster home to foster home in not Fawcett City, but Philadelphia. And once he gets with his new foster family, there's a couple of guys who are up to no good, start making trouble in his neighborhood. Well, less of his neighborhood and more of the school grounds. Right in front of the school grounds, now that I think about it, who the fuck was watching this? Who was supervising that shit? Anyway, after protecting his foster brother, he runs off into a subway and comes in contact with the wizard Shazam, who has chosen him to be his guardian and utilize his powers by saying his name out loud. But he's challenged by Dr. Savannah, who has taken possession of the 7 deadly sins and has come after his power. And so Billy now has to make a choice of what's more important to him, himself or his new family. So the story that was used in this movie was adapted from his very first arc in the New 52 arc, and I would have to say it's a pretty faithful interpretation. Nothing felt out of place as far as the pacing was concerned, and everything happened organically. It was pretty smooth all the way through. I also appreciate that the moral of what true family means was handled very nicely throughout the movie. It did a good job conveying it with the version of Shazam that they went with. And given how the story went, it also makes the eventual arrival of Black Adam a huge deal when it happens, because it'll be all him from the same source as Billy with like quadruple the experience. No, seriously, with the exposition that they gave about Black Adam in this movie when they hinted at his existence, the sequel has the potential to be like a family-friendly version of The Dark Knight. So with that being said, let's talk about the characters that stood out to me the most, starting with Mark Strong's Dr. Savannah. You laugh, but while I'm definitely still salty that his Sinestro was wasted in the Green Lantern movie, I was pleasantly surprised with how they did Dr. Savannah in this, along with Mark Strong's performance. I like how they did his backstory, and I thought swapping out Black Adam for Savannah with the adaptation that they went with was a very wise decision. I say that because given the overall plot of the movie, I really enjoyed how they worked in the traditional Captain Marvel lore bits to make him more unique as opposed to being, you know, the dollar store knockoff of Lex Luthor that he originally was. Zach Levi's portrayal of Billy, at times, was very enjoyable. Because of things that I will definitely get to later, I'd be lying if I said that I enjoyed 100% of it. But the stuff like figuring out his powers, the majority of the scenes of him enjoying himself, fighting Savannah, and using the fact that he can do adult things in his adult body was fun to watch. Other things I liked about this movie was the use of the rest of the Shazam family. I thought it was very well handled, and it was a nice way to help drive the message of family home. There's a very important thing that happens to them near the end of the movie that I personally wouldn't have done with them until like the sequel, considering what's obviously coming. But considering the story that the movie was trying to tell, I understand why they were handled in the way that they were handled, so it's fine. But I can't talk about this movie unless I talk about the thing that I really didn't like about this movie. Billy Batson. And that's not to say that I don't like Billy, because I do. I love Billy Batson. I love pre-New 52 Billy Batson, and this movie completely channeled New 52 Billy Batson, which I don't like, and it cut my enjoyment of this film a lot. Because pre-New 52 Billy was pure of heart. He was always optimistic, never gave up, and always tried to do the right thing no matter what, despite the situation. That's the reason why the Wizard chose him. He did deserve to be his champion. New 52 Billy, on the other hand, and movie Billy as a result, was chosen because there were no other options left, has been ruined by the system, and is an asshole who has to learn a valuable lesson in order to actually be worthy. And seeing this depiction of him, you're missing the entire point of the character. You're just missing it. Now, some would argue that in order to tell the story that the movie told, that Billy had to be cynical and selfish, that there truly isn't anyone worthy like that, which is why the changes that were made to Billy were made. These are also the same people who don't like Superman as a character because no one motherfucker is just that good for goodness sake, but that's an argument for another video. The kicker here is that there are people out there like that who exist, especially kids. And Billy didn't have to be jaded, cynical, or selfish. The same exact story this movie told could have used the version of Billy Batson before the New 52 reboot, and it would have been just as enjoyable. Why? Because it would have done a better job at putting those traits that Billy has to the test. Because he's so innocent. Because he's so pure of heart. Because he's always trying to do the right thing. Because that's genuinely part of his nature. And he doesn't want to let anybody down. Man. Sounds like I'm gonna have to dust off the My Version segment when this comes out on DVD. I have a lot of feelings about this, y'all. Readers, unlike Avengers Infinity War, I have no choice but to factor in my bias regarding the version of Billy that was used in this movie and giving my overall opinion of it. So along with it, taking into consideration everything else that I've talked about in this review, Shazam was okay. It did a good job telling an origin story that fit within the timeline of the DCEU while still being able to fly on its own. Did a good job in replacing a well-known villain in the arc that inspired it with one that I believe was one of the best rewrites in his mythos when the New 52 dropped. And overall did a good job executing the message of home and family is what you make of it. I initially say it's worth a theater watch, but I understand if you want to wait for a matinee. And if I wasn't so pressed to get the DC and Marvel films on Blu-ray, I would say that this is a late DVD purchase for me. Not immediately when it comes out, but later on down the line. Anyway, readers, your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comments section below what you thought of Shazam if you've seen it. Patreon-a-thon is happening all month long here on Readus 101, so if you want to qualify for giveaways and help financially support the channel, you can join my Patreon by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give one-time donations, you can find links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.